Jay here for Stretford Paddock, and this is the Tier 1 Transfer Podcast. Joining me, as always, is my co-host, Ronaldo Brown. How you doing, mate?
I feel like I did a bit of a creepy smile there.
Is that a creepy smile? I don't know what you're smiling about, because there's nothing to smile about when it comes to United transfer stories. Yeah, but you never know, that might change.
Smiling about the guest that we're about to have on.
The guest, nicely done. Yes, we do call ourselves the Tier 1 Transfer Podcast, and we're talking to someone who's definitely Tier 1. Christian Falk, over in Germany, joins us. He's outside the Bayern Munich training ground as well, so Christian's going to be chatting to us. Also, we're going to be looking at all the latest transfer news, the Tier 1 news, what the likes of Romano, Christian Falk, of course, other Tier 1 journalists are tweeting and saying, not just United news, not just United transfers, but also transfers across the sort of Premier League and ones that affect us in a roundabout way. But first of all, as we said earlier, let's speak to Christian Falk and find out whether Jadon Sancho is coming to Manchester United. We're lucky today to be speaking to Christian Falk from Sport Bild. He's over in Germany. Christian, where are you at the minute?
Hello, and greetings from Sebener Straße, the training ground of Bayern Munich. At the moment, perhaps you hear the players because you can't see them. They're behind the curtain. And before you ask, yes, Thiago is on the pitch.
Beat us to it.
You beat me to it. Okay, you've mentioned him, so I will ask. He's there. Thiago Alcantara, obviously, he's been linked with Manchester United and with Liverpool. I mean, most of the reports are that he's likely to go to Liverpool. What's the latest? Where do you think he's going to go? Do you think he's going to go to Liverpool, or do United have a chance?
Yeah, so it's not only my opinion, it's also the opinion from the club that Liverpool is the club Thiago want to join. But at the moment, there is still no offer. Indeed, the bosses of Bayern Munich are a little bit angry because they think Liverpool is playing a poker game with them to wait very, very long to make a very, very small offer. So because they think it's not fair, Thiago wants to come, and he said he want to come, and now nothing is happening. So it's a little bit confusing situation for everybody, and we have to wait and see if Liverpool has the money to pay him.
Just for those who don't know, because we've seen him in the Champions League and we may have seen a little bits of him, how good a player is he? How much of a difference do you think he'll make if he does go to Liverpool?
He was already a really, really fantastic player when he left FC Barcelona because he had no chance to play because of Iniesta and Xavi at this point. And I think he would have been already the perfect player for Barcelona if there wouldn't be such big names on the pitch. When he came to Germany, he didn't have such many skills for playing defensive, which is very, very important in the Bundesliga, you know. But now he's not only a very, very good player, technique, he's also a good player in the midfield for defending. So now he's a really perfect player for the position Jurgen Klopp likes to have. And I think it would be the very important puzzle for the next season, because as you saw in Champions League, you always need a little fresh power, fresh players to get the other players running and moving and have a little bit concurrence in your team. So I think it would be perfect for Liverpool.
Sad to hear that. As a Manchester United fan, that's not what I want to hear, but fair enough, that's what's happening.
So, but there is still a chance of Manchester United, because you know that better than me, the situation of Ronaldo at Liverpool, I think the transfer depends on him. So Bayern Munich is still expecting an offer of United. I think they don't move at the moment because you don't like to lose a poker game against Liverpool. So they will just move if there is a no from Liverpool. But United, we know that they already have talked with the side of the player. Only the bosses of Bayern Munich know that there were talks with the player or his agent. So United is still in the race. So don't give up the hope.
Do you think he would come to United if he can't go to Liverpool? Do you think he would come to Manchester United?
Yes, I think that will be still an option, because you know it's not so easy for him to be now on this training ground, because he said goodbye to the teammates, he said goodbye to the bosses, he said goodbye to the employers of of the club. Now he's wearing the jersey of Bayern Munich again, and he didn't sign the new contract Bayern Munich offered him, and it was the contract he wished. So they made everything he liked to see on the paper, and now to be still here, it's a very difficult situation for him. I think he's searching a new challenge. He would like to do the next step, but in Corona times, it's not so easy to get the transfer fee the clubs like to see for such a player of his quality. So I'm not sure. There's also a third party in the game. It's Barcelona, but everybody knows that it's really, really difficult for them to pay players now at this situation. They already did Pjanic for the midfield. If the contract would be over, like next year, I think Barcelona would have been the wish from Thiago, because him and his family were living now 7 years in Germany. He would like to return, but at the moment, I think it's easier for him to make the step to England because of money. But in the next year, it would be difficult to get him if Barcelona don't have to pay a transfer fee.
Fair enough.
We'll have to see what happens, but kind of moving on to another Bayern player. What's the latest with David Alaba? We know there were stories in the past linking him to United because he hasn't signed a new deal at Bayern. Do you actually see him leaving Bayern Munich, or could United actually be a destination?
Yeah, indeed. I think at the moment, I talked with him on Monday. He tried to calm down a little bit what happened with his agents, with Uli Hoeneß, which is the former president and still one of in the board. And he was looking really happy when he running by 50 minutes ago was, hello, I'm fine. So I think he would like to play for Barcelona. He would like to play for Real Madrid, but it's still not United and it's still not Liverpool or City. It's not the Premier League he would like to go. So if there's no offer from Spain, I think he would like to stay. And I think there's still a chance for Bayern Munich that he sign a new contract. It depends a little bit. They said 4 years would be fine for the club. I think there's a little bit space in the negotiations to say, okay, you can get also 5 years. So the talks are not over with David Alaba, but the situation is really, really complicated because there were many, many words that doesn't like the bosses, that didn't like the agents, and David Alaba wasn't also very happy. And so he told me he would like that everything is not in public. They just talk on the table. And I think they can find a solution. And I don't think it will be United. I'm very sorry. And perhaps if Pep Guardiola is calling him, there would be a little chance. But at the moment, I think it's Bayern Munich.
Fair enough. Obviously, the big story this window, especially for Manchester United fans, has been about Jadon Sancho, whether he's going to join, whether he isn't. I mean, do you think that deal could still happen, Jadon Sancho to Manchester United?
It was very, very quiet in the last days and weeks about this topic. As I said before many, many times, it's just a question of money. And if United doesn't pay the price, I think they thought it's easier to get him because in the past, German clubs always sold the players when there's a big amount of money on the table. But I think these times have changed at Dortmund. If they don't get their price, they won't sell him because they don't have to. He has a contract which is very long. There was extension of 1 year also. And I think Kai Havertz is a very, very good example. At least Chelsea had the price to pay, which Leverkusen said. So it's the same. And I think United waited very, very long. And Dortmund is now at a point they don't get a new player for the money. So I think the window is getting closer and closer. And there's a small chance if they say, okay, we are so keen on him and we are a little bit crazy and pay a crazy price. So there will be a chance, but the chance is not as high as it was before.
Is that chance getting smaller by each stage, you feel? Do you feel that the longer this goes on, the smaller the chance, the less likely it is to happen?
Of course, because Dortmund wants to win the championship in Germany because Bayern Munich won it 8 times in a row. and they need a player like Sancho also for targets in the Champions League. And okay, if you have 120 million euros, I think you can get a new good player for this money. But the market is closing in October, and you have to find such a player. You have to have negotiations with the club because if you have such a good player, it's not so good to lose him at this time. And yes, I think time is running.
Have you been surprised, Christian, by the fact that Manchester United haven't realised they need to pay that money? Because this has been going on for so long, and Dortmund have stuck to their guns and said, we want this money. And yet United still seem to think we can get him without spending it. Has that surprised you, the way Manchester United have gone about this?
Yes, I think it's a big surprise also for Sancho, because if you are talking with the club, and we know that there's agreement between the player and the club, and then knew the price before, so the price is not new. Dortmund said it at the beginning, and they say it now. So I don't know what they thought will happen if they wait, or if Dortmund will move. But I think if you want a player like Sancho, and I think of course he would be perfect for United. He's English, he's young, he's very talented, he has friends in the team. It's a player you need for the system, and I would have thought that they do something which make it easier to convince Dortmund, but nothing happened, and they just had a agent between to talk. So I don't know. There are special times, of course. Also, United has problems with the money, without supporters in the stadium. So I can understand why they don't do it, because it's a very, very high price. But then I don't understand what they expected before.
Do you think Dortmund have told Sancho that he can leave if they get that money? Do you think he's had any sort of conversation around it? Because he must be, as you said, it must be difficult for him as well.
Yeah, I think there was a gentleman agreement. So we talk about Harvard again. It was the same at Leverkusen. So when you stay, we would like you stay, we need you. But if a club offers this special kind of money, this amount of transfer fee, we don't hold you, and you can leave. So that was the reason why Sancho also signed secretly 1 year more, because he get more money to earn at Dortmund. But he had this door to go to Premier League. But if he wants to go through this door, it's on United to pay.
I hope we do, because I'd love to see him in a United shirt.
So would I. But you said in the past that rumours of Dayot Upamecano to United weren't true. Do you think the player could end up moving to Old Trafford next summer, perhaps, or is there absolutely no interest there from United?
Yes, I think for this summer the door is closed, but for next summer there's a great opportunity that he will move a Premier League. Perhaps if United would be a little bit earlier at his door, it could happen also this season. But now it's too late. He also signed a new contract, and he's agreed with the club. He knows that perhaps it's a good step for him to stay 1 year more to develop, and because Leipzig is also playing in Champions League. They are playing a good season last year, also in Bundesliga. So perhaps it's good for him that he waits 1 year more. But if United moved earlier, of course, he would have go to United. Yeah, sure. Why not?
It's a shame. It's a shame we didn't, because he's a very good player.
Obviously, we're speaking financially, James, speaking about how United are kind of not really paying up, but a club that really has been paying up has been Chelsea. And Chelsea have obviously spent a lot of money this summer with the likes of Timo Werner and Kai Havertz coming from the Bundesliga, players you obviously know very well. How strong do you think their team actually is now? And do you see them contending in the Premier League this season?
Chelsea?
Yeah.
I had a talk with Timo Werner yesterday. He knows that it's not a project that they have to win next year the championship in England, or they have to win the Champions League. They told the German players that they will educate the team, and it's a very, very interesting project. Also, Havertz knows it, and Havertz and Werner are not players like, for example, a Bayern Munich player, which has every season the target to win Champions League or win a championship. So they have time, and they have time to win these titles in 2 years or 3 years. They want to be a big part of this project, and so they can develop with the team. They know that, and they're very, very happy that they're there, because it's an interesting thing what happened at Chelsea. But we can't expect from this team to get in concurrence with Liverpool or City or just in 1 year.
No, hopefully not. Hopefully they'll be behind Manchester United again, like they were last season. Just finally, Christian, I wanted to ask you a little bit about Kingsley Coman, because in the past there was rumours or stories that maybe he could be a target for Manchester United. Do you think that was the interest there was real? And do you think that could ever happen? Kingsley Coman to Manchester United?
So true and not true. At first, of course, Kingsley Coman was thinking about what will happen when Leroy Sané is arriving here, because it's his position. And but when City had to sold Leroy, there was no chance to hold him there. Schicky Berkelstein had the idea of making a swap deal with Coman. I think it would be for Kingsley an option, because if Pep Guardiola is calling you and wants him in your team, and you see that there is a new superstar coming to Munich, it would be a good idea for both sides. But there was not 1% chance for City to do that with Bayern Munich, because they need the player, they want the player. They have an idea of these 3 wing players with Gnabry, Leroy and Coman, because you need many of such players for such a long season, because they can get injured because they're so fast, tacklings are hard. So they won't sell him. And after the Champions League final, I think you know who scored. It's not getting easier to buy him. So he will have to stay. And if it was an idea for him also to go to United, there was also no chance to go to City. But of course, if United don't get Sancho, it's just normal to think also about Coman, because he's a really, really good player. And if he would been sold, I'm sure they would have tried to get him. But sorry, no chance again.
Sorry, disappointing, but at least you're honest. Christian, thanks for talking to us. It looks great out there over in Germany. It looks very warm. I'll let you get on to watching the Bayern Munich training, and we appreciate you chatting to us, and hopefully we'll talk again soon.
So, thank you very much, and servus from Bayern.
Bye-bye. Bye. So there you have it. I mean, not the best news, if we're being honest.
And we've got a little bit of a Bielsa job though.
Yeah, we're not getting Thiago. It's slim chance of getting Sancho, and Coman isn't happening. I'm going to start with going back to what Christian Falk said there about Jadon Sancho. He said it's a small chance, and that it's getting smaller by each day. I mean,
I think that's common knowledge.
That is common knowledge. It's like it's obvious to anyone now watching this or watching what's been going on that the only way Jadon Sancho comes to Manchester United is if Manchester United pay the full amount that Dortmund want. I mean, that's what he was saying as well.
But that's been the case for like a month now. That's been the case for a month now, and it feels like there hasn't been really any development. People thought there was developments just because United kind of leaked what they were doing for the very first time. And people thought that was something that clubs only did when they were quite confident they were going to get something done. And then, lo and behold, United don't seem to work that way in the board. So I think like we just leaked it for no reason, but without actually developing the actual deal. It's just the same kind of like stagnation that's been there from the start, where the player wants to come, personal terms are agreed. All it has to be is United give them the money that they want. And if you end up giving them the money that they want in the end, it's just a waste of time, really. That's how I see it. Get him in early, get him accustomed to his teammates, bed him in. Could have started the season against Palace. But now we're kind of just in limbo, just waiting to see if he arrives. And then when he comes, it's just like a bit of a squeeze him in.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I won't mind if we get him after the season started. Well, it looks like we're going to do that anyway. Our season started, I should say, not the season. One thing that Christian Falk said there that did interest me was the sort of the gentleman's agreement, the agreement that Sancho has with the club that, so he's obviously he's up for the move. They've said to him, if you get this money, you can go. So he must be frustrated as well to know that the reason this move hasn't happened it's not because really Dortmund. Dortmund have been honest with him and say, if you get this deal, you can go. If you get the money, you can go. He signed a new deal last year, but Manchester United just aren't paying that money, which has got to be frustrating for a player who is obviously up for coming.
Obviously, you spoke about the gentleman agreement, but Falk was even still saying that Dortmund still see themselves as contenders. Obviously, they've been a bit of a selling club, to say the least. But if Bayern have won the league 8 years in a row and they're seeing themselves as their nearest rivals and they want to compete, they are going to have reservations about selling someone like Jadon Sancho.
Well, this is the thing as well. Like, you mentioned they've just won the Champions League as well.
Yeah.
Again. Yeah. Like, and when I say again, I mean they won it last time. They won it. They beat Dortmund, didn't they, in the final?
Yeah.
A few years ago. And obviously now they've won it again. They've done the treble, the German treble as well. And now, as you say, 8 titles in a row. I think it was, he mentioned him then in the video as well about, is it Hoeneß, the ex-Bayern Munich chief, who's always saying things, and he was having a bit of a dig at Dortmund when he's saying, they're just a selling club, and so it seems to have rattled him a little bit. But, going back to what you were saying earlier about how it's dragging on and, it's almost like things are getting leaked and we're just waiting to see what happens and waiting for if United are going to pay the full price. Very much feels to me a little bit like Maguire and Wan-Bissaka.
It does a little bit, but...
Do you know what I mean, though? Because wasn't it the same last summer with them? Like, Leicester wanted 80 million plus 5 million add-ons. And United were like, we're not paying that.
No, we're not paying that. We're not paying it anyway.
And then we waited 14 days of negotiating or whatever it was. And in the end, it's like, we're paying 80 million plus 5 million.
It's just a bit of ego, though, innit? It's just right, you can't bully me into paying that much and all that. But at the end of the day, I'm just still going to pay anyway. But I want to make it look like I'm not a pushover at first. So I'm going to disagree and kind of stick my chest out. Yeah. But then just end up giving the money anyway.
I mean, it's the same like with Wan-Bissaka. Palace were like, we want 50 million. And United were like, no, we'll give you, 40 million and 10 million if we win the Champions League or whatever it was. And then it's like, at the end of it, it's like, we're paying 50 million. I mean, I don't mind paying 50 million for Wan-Bissaka. I think he's a very good player. Even the 80 million from Harry Maguire, I know we've overpaid for him. We have overpaid, but I understand it. That, that's the sort of what you got to do if you wanted to get him. But it's just the way it went
English
about.
Premium
English premium, United premium, and all that jazz. But it's the dragging it out. And it looks like if this deal happens, it's just going to be the same thing. People are just going to turn around and go, why did you wait all summer and pay the price that they asked for in the first place?
Because another thing that, if you was listening, that Falk said that's going to annoy all United fans, including myself as well, is the Dayot Upamecano. If that interest was real, then basically Falk suggested that if United acted early in the window, there was a significantly larger possibility of actually signing him. But because of the fact that United kind of initiated their interest late, it was too late by then, as in he signed a new contract and Leipzig weren't going to sell him that late on in the window without obviously getting a replacement, etc. Because they are in the Champions League. It kind of just epitomises United's recent way in the transfer window, where it's just everything's a bit stalled, everything's a bit too late. Whereas other teams seem to be doing their deals early in the window, like quick and early. Whereas we're just hovering a bit, not really doing it. And then you look at the window now, we've got Donny van de Beek, but it is still very underwhelming.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It's like, what can you do?
You mentioned there, didn't he, about Kai Havertz with Chelsea, where we asked him about it, and he said that with that, the price was named, Chelsea paid it and got him.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they was dragging the heels and, we're going to pay instalments. The deal got done. Whereas that's probably, that from what we gather is what needs to happen with Jadon Sancho. Like you're saying, it's not happening. And Chelsea have gone about their business this summer, got deals done. Okay, they've spent a lot of money, but they've done it pretty quickly.
Abramovich way, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is the Abramovich way, but
he's not afraid to
He's not afraid to spend the cash. I get that.
He's someone actually you can tell he cares. About Chelsea.
Well, he does. He spent a lot of money. And you can ask yourself reasons behind that. I don't necessarily think he's a Chelsea fan growing up in Russia. He had pictures of Tony Cascarino on his wall or whatever. But
businessman, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, there's a business reason. But he spends money while our owners don't, and they take money out of this club. But do you feel that? I know we keep going back to this, but I'll ask you anyway. Director of football, is that going to help? Would that help? Because I don't know. Every summer we're having this conversation about dragging our heels, being embarrassed, things getting leaked, negotiations taking time. Does a director of football smooth that over?
It should do. Yeah. It should make us enable us to be a little bit more aggressive, and obviously have a little bit more pull, because obviously the way things set up at United right now, it seems like teams are able to kind of give the bit of United premium. It's like what I said yesterday in the podcast. If Everton got James Rodriguez for 22 mil.
Yeah.
If United showed interest in him, would United have got him for that much? Definitely not.
Probably not.
And it's just, I don't know if it's kind of dissuading United because they know in their transfer negotiations, clubs are kind of setting their bar high because it's them.
Do you know what? It makes the point, like, even Dan James, right? Everyone goes on about Dan James' bargain.
Yeah. 15
million quid, got him at a snip. Leeds were going to sign him in the January deadline day for $4.5 million. That was done, like, they agreed it. It fell apart for whatever reason. I think they pulled out, they tried to renegotiate. So we paid, 4 times that? I think it was 18 million with add-ons. 5 months later. So even that's not a bargain. You know what I mean? Like,
because you're saying it's just based on like what clubs think you have. They think, United, you should pay more.
Like,
it's similar to
I don't begrudge paying that for Daniel James, but people go on about it like it's this great bargain that we got and we nurtured and we scout. We didn't. Leeds were in for him. They almost got the deal done. It was all arranged, and then it fell apart for whatever reason. I think they chanced to renegotiate or something went wrong. And then we pay 4 times that amount to get him 5 months later. So whilst 18 million or 15 million of add-ons isn't a lot of money for a club like Manchester United, we still paid a lot for that player in comparison to what he was going for a few months earlier.
I think it's just because of like what we're saying about how clubs see United and their finances, revenue, thinking you should pay extra. So similarly, like if you analogize it to when I know it's a bit far-fetched, when I go to Jamaica.
Right.
If you go to Jamaica and you're buying things at shops or stores and then they can tell you're foreign or they can tell you're English in your voice, they'll charge you more.
Right, honestly, I'd have no chance. You'll probably get away with it. You could probably get a bit of old spiel, but
they sniff it out. They literally could sniff it out. I think I could blend in, but they could sniff out when you're not from there, and they just assume.
If you're not getting away with it, I've got no chance.
I've got what?
Yeah,
braids,
yeah,
all that, but they're.
They just know.
They just know, and then they'll up the price, and then you obviously don't know, but they just assume that obviously you're from England, you're from foreign, you're on holiday, you should have the money for it. It's the same kind of thing with transfers and clubs.
That's a good analogy. That.
Yeah, so
you worried me when you said it's an analogy. I thought, here we go, this is some craziness, but that was fair. That was a fair comment. I mean, there wasn't a lot of positives to take from Christian Falk. Great interview, by the way, and we appreciate him coming on the channel. And also, it's great that he's at Bayern Munich.
What you think about the backdrop?
I know, he's like, I'm just at Bayern Munich watching him train. And like, we were asking him about players, and he's like, straight away he said, Thiago's here, didn't he? Before we even asked him. So that was great.
I spoke to Werner yesterday.
He's obviously proper. This is, why he's so highly regarded.
Guy, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I love the facts as well. He said, and he might get a true or not true. He just does that, doesn't he, with his tweets. Yeah. With Romano, it's like, here we go. With Falk, it's like true or just not true.
They're best buds or rivals?
No, the mates aren't they? If you see them on Twitter, they're always chatting to each other. I don't know how friendly they are, but certainly on social media they seem to get on well. I think they've done stuff together, and it is like, you've got, it's like Juve and Bayern in it or something. I don't know. It's like the two giants of like German and Italian football. Do you know what I mean?
Falk's upped himself.
Yeah, he's
but you can tell, but he basically, I feel like he showed that he is ITK.
Yeah,
he's very ITK.
I trust Falk. I'm not just saying that just because we had him on the channel, but we've been trying to get him on for a little while now. It was like, we should get Christian Falk on because he is one of those guys that when he tweets, like with the Upamecano thing. Yeah. Mate, I did the paper talk.
And you said not true straight away afterwards.
And I recorded it. And then we got back here and I was sat down and we were like just about to post it, and then he tweeted not true.
In caps.
Yeah. And I was like, so I had to re-record something, just like a voice note. People go, no, you just re-recorded that, you just added that on, which obviously I had. And like the tweet just said, Christian Falk has since said, because I was like, Upamecano could be coming to Old Trafford, but as soon as you get that from Christian Falk, not true, you know that it ain't happening. And as you said earlier,
and he reiterated that, saying that it could have been true though if United acted early, but if it didn't act early, that just could mean that United didn't have that much interest in him, or he wasn't up the priority list.
Yeah,
which is kind of strange one because I thought a centre half was.
Talking of maybe not a priority, moving on to other Tier 1 journalists, Fabrizio Romano has been tweeting at the time of recording.
When's he not tweeting?
That guy never sleeps, does he? I know it for a fact.
He replies to all you lot and us lot, man. He's
yeah, man. I got to make like sent me a voice note. It's like 5:30 or something, 4:30, and I thought, there must be like a big time difference. There's not. He's just like an hour's difference, so he's still up at the middle of the night.
He sent you a voice note.
Yeah, when we were chatting.
Oh, you were friends?
No, I'm not. No, listen, I'm not pretending like I'm mates with Fabrizio because I'm not. But we were chatting because we had him on the channel, didn't we?
Oh, yeah, go on.
So I was pestering him. Yeah, in voice notes, mate, just say Ajay. Yeah, here we go. Don't worry about it. But I never say anything. No, I'm not ITK at all. Yeah, he was saying this morning about Sergio Reguilon to Spurs. Pretty much done deal by the time you're watching this.
Pretty much here we go for
Tottenham. Yeah, he's probably signed on a dotted line. What do you make of that one? Because that was a player, you know, talking of priorities, it probably wasn't a priority left back, but we got offered him, and then it looked like we were going to get him, and then we didn't because of this.
It looked like a bargain because of the price, but the buyback clause is a massive factor. And obviously, you said that left backs were quite low down the priority list.
I've always felt
which is something I agree with.
Yeah.
I think Luke Shaw and Brandon Williams are fine enough as a 2. I know people suggested that Brandon Williams might go to right back because he's naturally right-footed.
But he can play left back. We've seen him play
left
back. And I don't get the doubts around Brandon Williams because he's so young. For me, he's got levels to go. And I think he's had such an amazing first season. For a player that was never thought to be coming into the team. And then people go, oh, you know.
It's because he came in and he was doing everything that people was complaining that Luke Shaw wasn't doing. Do you know, in terms of like the urgency and like the kind of
attacking.
Just the aggression, just looking like he's a bit more up for it. Which is everything that Luke Shaw isn't. Obviously, Luke Shaw can come across a little bit passive, going through the motions, sprints once or twice a game. Obviously, but
I feel like Luke Shaw got a little bit more respect towards the end of the season when he wasn't playing. People were saying, actually, do you know what?
Because what happened was he reacted and started playing really well. I'm not going to lie to you, because Brandon Williams was on the verge of becoming first choice because of obviously Luke Shaw's performances, and then Luke Shaw upped it because under the pressure, and then we started playing well in a spell that he was playing well, so it kind of coincided. And then when he was injured, we had a couple of blips or a couple of dodgy performances, and then everyone's like, wait, let me look for a reason. Yeah. Oh, Luke Shaw's not playing. That must be the reason why.
I know. People do like to oversimplify. Oh, it's because he's not playing. Yeah, that's why. I'm not really sure about. I think the fatigue might have set in a little bit as well. But I get your point. Yeah. So he's not a priority. Fabrizio was tweeting about the fact that obviously Reguilon going to Spurs.
Here we go. He said.
Yeah, United not in for him. Also, he's mentioned, and we had this in the news as well. Go on. I feel like I'm interrupting.
No, I was going to ask you, what do you think about the fact missing out on him? I think he's not priority, but what do you think surrounding like the buyback clause, etc., which Tottenham have supposedly agreed to? I think it's a suggestion that Tottenham are basically bent. I won't say that. I won't term it that way.
Go on. Oh right, no, don't. I can see where you're going. Yeah, I've just realised what you're going to say. Yeah, let's not go down that route. Yeah,
just
that Tottenham are just
whatever,
doing whatever they can to get him and just being sort of a little bit small time mentality,
which is actually unusual for them. Daniel Levy's usually a
very savvy businessman, Daniel Levy, and I'm guessing that if he's gone with this and he spoke to Jose, there's a reason for it. And I think it's different for them, innit? Than Spurs aren't Manchester United. Doesn't matter how big the stadium is or how many Amazon documentaries they make. They're not even remotely the same sort of. United are an elite club, one of the biggest in the world. Spurs aren't really at that level, and that's no disrespect to them. They're a very big club, just not as big as United. And I think it would have hurt us. You imagine if Sergio Reguilon has a great season at Manchester United, and at the end of it, Real Madrid go, right, fine, we'll have him back now. There would have been no outrage, and then people would have gone, oh, well, why did we buy him with that clause? Why did we get that clause? Now, Joe made the point on the Transfers Live overnight, well, maybe we should have paid a little bit more, not have that clause, and that's a fair comment, but we don't know how much that was an option. So, whilst I don't think we spend enough money and we're getting enough players in, and I think these owners are a joke and a disgrace, I understand the idea of not just going, right, okay, you want a buyback clause, right, we'll let you have that. So I do think you have to remember that we are Manchester United football club.
I was going to say, Real Madrid can't look at United and think they're a club we can just rent to.
Yeah.
It's a bit disrespectful.
I think you know what I mean? They're talking the account was Real Madrid. They get David Beckham for 23 million. Don't get me started on that. And even 80 million for Ronaldo was a bargain.
80 million.
It was a bargain.
Back then it was hefty.
Back then it was a record transfer fee, but you know what I mean? It was like, what, about 10p a goal it works out at.
10p a goal.
Like a tenner per Ballon d'Or.
No, but what he had to end up doing there, it looks like the biggest bargain.
That's what I'm saying to you. But, I get
Do you think he made him more Nah, he wouldn't have paid 80 million for him just in shirt sales over time.
I don't know, man, but he was,
But
but either way, you know, Real Madrid do have that sort of attitude that looking down at us, so I can sort of understand us saying, nah, mate,
you don't get much more right wing than Real Madrid.
General Franco's old team. Let's not go down that one. Hey, that's a minefield we don't need to get into. What else have you got for us from Tier 1s anyway? We've had Romano. We've spoke to Christian Falk.
No, obviously, what I said to you quite often is, obviously, it's been quite a while, but it's been a week kind of drawn-out thing with surrounding the Jadon thing with the United leaking it. I know you saw the likes of Steinman, Stones, and Peach. All of those kind of jump on. What usually happens with these Tier 1 journalists is one person says something and they all just say the exact same thing.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we saw. We've sort of seen that, haven't we, with Reguilon. I think it was Romano who said that there was sort of an agreement there, and he was sort of hinting that it was almost looked like it was going to happen. But I think he did say, you know, that the buyback clause was a bit of an issue. Lots of people will quote tweeting that, retweeting that. Interestingly enough, early on this week, when I almost said Christian Bale then, the Gareth Bale rumours started. Yeah. James Cooper, who's obviously been on the show, he said that the interest was real. He said it wasn't nonsense.
No, I did. Romano's always used to talk about anything news. That's one I remember. He said yesterday that Tottenham and Daniel Levy are definitely in talks for return. So it's not. It doesn't seem too far-fetched in returning to Tottenham, does it?
No. I think James Cooper was talking about him going to United earlier, not being nonsense. But then others are saying, well, I think it's like fleeting interest if we can't get Sancho, and it maybe is a possibility if Real Madrid are going to pay some of his wages. But the move to Spurs makes a lot more sense, and I think, you know, you talk about things like shirt sales and the stature, and Spurs, you know, want to be sort of challenging, or they at least want to have that perception of being a big club. And someone like Gareth Bale coming in, it is a bit of an eye-opener.
He still remembers how to play.
See, it's interesting. I mean, I'm not going to lose much sleep over Gareth Bale going to Spurs, to be honest with you. Had we not got Jadon Sancho and we got Gareth Bale for a year, I wouldn't have been, you know, against that idea, I suppose. But the priority's got to be Jadon Sancho, hasn't it?
Always has, and it still has to be. It just depends how inept United look if the transfer window basically ends with this being a continual saga till the very end and we still don't end up getting him. How it ends up looking, and will you look in a few years' time if he ends up not coming? Because it could turn into a bit of a bidding war with Jadon Sancho when other teams kind of up their finances with the likes of Barcelona, etc. Then it could be a bit worrying, because obviously I said on the podcast yesterday that I did know or did find out that Barcelona would be a club that he wouldn't mind going to also, as long as as the same as United. So if Barcelona were definitively in there to go and get him, then we could have a problem, and that could be next season. So I think now or never. Not now or never, but now is pretty much the best time for United to try and sign him when we're pretty much the only ones in the race.
Just looking at some of the other news, I was just looking earlier because there was sort of talk that Eduardo Mendy, Mendy?
I saw.
Was on his way. I don't know why Frank Khalid came up there. He's not Tier 1. Was on his way to Chelsea. They're going to buy the keeper from is it Rennes, however you say it. But now, at the time of recording this, that looks like it could be getting held up. A few journalists were tweeting that he was on his way. Reliable journalists were saying that was almost a done deal, and now it looks like it might not be happening.
Being held up, I thought it would have been accelerated after watching the Brighton goal against.
Yeah, he had a bit of a. I wouldn't say a stinker, but it was questionable.
But he's been questionable too often. I think it literally went under his hand.
Yeah, and I saw him as well. I watched that game on the corners as well. Like he looks ropey. I saw a couple of corners where he looks a little bit ropey.
Yeah,
so.
he's not the best, is he? And if Chelsea aren't really messing about in it, any issues or any cracks that they see, they're just going out there and thinking, he wants our money, well, let's have it.
Also, being tweeted on by a lot of Tier 1 journalists, including Romano as well, was about Memphis Depay going to Barcelona. Now, this again looked like it was going to happen, but now apparently Koeman's come out and said, well, it's not, apparently I think it's pretty much set in stone. Ronald Koeman's come out and said that we need to sell players before we can buy players. So, I mean, it's mad that, isn't it?
So that kind of tells
Barcelona
you what
can't just go out and buy Memphis Depay. Because I always think of Barcelona just having lots of money and being able to spend whatever they want. Especially Depay, who's going to be costed quite a bit, but he's not like Jadon Sancho money, I wouldn't have thought. So that surprised me a little bit. What do you think of that?
I think his price still is quite high. obviously he's been playing well as well in the French league. So it's an interesting one that they still don't have the financial power to just buy him outright. It kind of makes you question what's going on there. Is it the Corona kind of effect? But do you think that should affect a club like Barcelona with all the revenue and money that they bring in, and the fact that they need to sell in order to do so? It's just a strange one, because usually year in, year out, if Barcelona don't really realistically spend loads, but if they need to, they comfortably can. And you've seen that with when he brought in obviously Coutinho and Dembele in the past, even Suarez. So it's kind of funny what's going on at Barcelona. And I think they're in a bit of their dynastic kind of rule. It's come to an end a little bit.
The dynastic rule, the empire is crumbling. We've heard those words at Old Trafford, haven't we? When Sir Alex Ferguson left. I know what you mean. It does seem like not a happy camp at the minute with Barca, with Messi.
Can I ask you about Dembele though? Because I remember when there was kind of rumours that he could be up for sale. Don't know how much though.
No.
Is he a possible alternative if the Jadon thing doesn't happen?
From Barca?
Yeah.
I'm not a fan.
You're not a fan
Injury
of him?
prone. Missed a couple of sitters against the Scousers, and that's what I base my scouting on.
Nah, missing sitters against the Scousers ain't going to make Jay happy. Because
he could have made it 4-0, and that would have been it. The tie would have been over. It was easy. It was on a plate for him. Messi just put it on a plate for him, and he fluffed these lines. I'm not having it. I'm sorry.
I think there's a few things about Liverpool Jay don't like.
I'm not getting into that anyway. Listen, me and you were friends, and you used to play for him, so I think we're building bridges. So we've got. I think that's a good place to wrap that up. Actually, so there you go. Sort of, we know what's happening with Reguilon, with Bale, with other deals as well. Chelsea still doing bits. Barca might be getting in Ronaldo as well. That's another one we almost didn't mention. Could be getting in Depay. Manchester United haven't got Jadon Sancho. We spoke to Christian Falk, who was there at the Bayern Munich training ground. Who's over there? He says that Thiago is still a possibility. He didn't rule that out if Liverpool can't get the money for him. So still a possibility.
Yeah, he did make it seem like there's still a bit of a chance.
Yeah, and I would take Thiago Alcantara at United any day of the week. And also Jadon Sancho. There's a small chance, but it's getting smaller by the day. So this has been the Tier 1 Transfer Podcast. I've been Jay. It's been Ronaldo. Ronaldo, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
Another good episode. And thanks to Christian Falk as well for coming on the show. So don't forget to hit like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching.